Do you have a belief system 20 years ago that you no longer believe in again?
That I was educated from my university. That with those degrees, I could face life with it. Those were lies.
There's something that I've paid attention to. Ghanaians find nobility in poverty.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Lack of financial education.
Like, I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
What is the biggest mindset difference between poor people and wealthy people?
Looking for help.
Looking for help.
The poor are always waiting for somebody to hold their hand. Looking for help. Begging. Just understand that the education that you have was never built for you to become free and build wealth. And to build wealth means that you must have ownership.
Hello guys, and welcome back again to another amazing episode. And guys, this is the Diaspora transition episode where we've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of Americans, diasporans in general, who have relocated, left their home country, either being the US, UK, to all parts of the world. You know, we've listened to their stories. They've shared insight on how to relocate properly. You know, the success stories, the failure. And why we do this is to make sure that you are well informed making your decision relocating to the continent. And today we do have here someone very special. He gives you the proper insight on what the real life here in Ghana and how to do business is. No sugarcoating. He speaks about mindsets. He's an engineer. You might have seen him. He's a recurring guest on the show. He's been here on the show for at least 2 times. Today is the 3rd one. He's wrote, the last time we spoke, he had 9 books. Today he has over 16 books. And I really admire him, a lot. Speaking with him is like being privileged to have a conversation with Dr. Kwame Nkrumah a long time ago. That's the closest thing to... that's how I feel, at least. I respect him a lot, and bringing him back to the show is to share all the experience, the things he's learned that will help you, so you don't make the mistakes that other people make coming to the continent. So if you're a diasporan, you want to understand how it is to make business here, the right mindset you need to be able to be successful doing business in Ghana. This is a show for you. So without further ado, engineer.
Yes, sir, boss.
Welcome on the show.
Thank you. Good to be back and good to see you again.
It's been a while.
Yes.
But your presence, it's life changing. I was telling you behind cameras that it's like sitting with your parents or your grandparents and them advising you on what to do with your life.
Wow.
And it actually makes an impact. It did that for me.
Wow.
And I want my audience to experience the same thing.
Thank you.
Thank you for honoring the invitation.
And thank you for what you do. I mean, committing your life in creating this platform and educating us. You can never underrate the impact of information, of knowledge. And likening me to Dr. Nkrumah, wow, that's an honor. I don't qualify to be in his shadow, but it's an honor. It's an honor. I'm an African, and you can't take that from me. And so any African, and when you talk of an African, we talk of the mindset, the mentality, the psychology of an African. It's not just you looking African, but when you talk, we can be proud of you as an African. And he for me, is at the top of it. And so thank you.
I like that. Now, let's dive a bit into Kwame Nkrumah. Now, before we do that, you've been interviewed a lot.
Yes.
And sometimes preparing for an interview like that is interesting.
Yeah.
Because you're asking, what should I even ask him?
Wow.
Right. So I want to give you the chance to be able to, first of all, what are some questions you've been always wanting to be asked on a podcast, but nobody ever asked you?
Wow.
Do you have a question like that?
Okay. One thing I normally... when you are trying to give explanation on Africa and where we are, many of our people think it's a blame game. And I think they don't take time to study the root cause, the systemic or the processes that have been put in place, the things that have been built up over all these years to have us where we are. So they think it's an alibi. And even the best of our minds still don't seem to have understanding of the reason Africa. The other day I was watching an European man. I think he was saying that Africans are using slavery and colonization as an excuse, and that our problem is bad leadership. I said, but this has been the lie, the propaganda that you have sold all these years. The answer is here. The problem is here, and it's telling you it's the other side, so that you will never find a solution. And they never own up to the damage. Our people don't know the effect and the things that they put in place to have us where we are now. I'm a systems engineer. Everything that you see, there's a cause of it. And it's not just one shot. Many, multiple processes that have...
Do you think we have been spiritually colonized?
You see, Africa has been blessed continent all these years. Whatever they put in place to take advantage. Can you imagine a particular people shipping millions of a particular race for at least 250 to 300 years, trying to re-educate them and re-civilize them? Do you know what they had to put in place for them to get those numbers and for them to even move them like cargo, like animals, like fish, and get them to those countries and still condition them and have them work? Do you know the structures that they had to put in place to condition a human being to go through that? Wow. And that person comes around to tell you that the reason you are here is because your people are bad. You have wrong leadership. And you didn't take responsibility for where you are. It's amazing.
I've had Americans that I sat with behind cameras, not on camera, and they point blank made a statement saying, you sold us into slavery.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It's always sad to hear that. If nothing at all, I'm a Ghanaian. Many times if you go to any of our villages, even if they don't know you, and it does not even matter your tribe, you go to any village and in the night you want somewhere to sleep. I can tell you genuinely, many of our people will just open their door for you to have food and for you to have a place to sleep. And you think these people changed to that position of humanity and they were so cruel before that? At what point in history did Africans ever enslave any other people?
So it wasn't by our
it's a creation that they had to create. And not many of our people are ready to understand. They think that explanation means you are blaming. And if you have to blame an evil structure and an evil system, it's right to blame. But really, we did not sell our people. If you look at they call something asiento. It's an order from the Catholic Church, from Portugal, that time, that you could go to Africa and do whatever you want to do. The ship, the structures, the chains, the guns, did Africans build those?
No.
They actually had to go to some cities, some towns, and fight. It was a war.
Yeah.
It was not trade.
Our ancestors' head were cut off and put in a jar.
Yes.
And put a place.
And you think that was trading?
Resisting the oppression.
Just one or two people, or maybe one group or three groups, trying to do that does not mean that the whole Africa was selling their people. That's not true. It's war. They came to fight us. They came to take advantage. They came to, get resources. That was it. Now they are telling you it's trade. The other day, President Mama and his team had to go to the UN to say that this one was the worst thing ever happened to any group of people.
Yes.
And 123 of the world's nation voted for that. You think they don't have any knowledge, any wisdom? They never said that your people sold us. That's why it was the worst treatment of any. Why? Because the people who were in charge, the people who designed that, the people who financed that were not the Africans. Okay? And prior to that, the Arabs had also been here. Africa has always been under insurgents all these years because of the wealth that we have.
Golds,
yes,
diamonds.
From the Greeks to the Romans to all these guys, we have always been. But the Europeans take it to another level. They brought it to the level of humanity, where they said that if you're black, then you are not full human beings. And the documents are there. That's right. The documents are there. Their own constitutions. Even put them there. They wrote books. The so-called scientific research. Just to say that the Africans were just a higher form of chimpanzee, of apes.
Wow. What does that do to a civilization when you are seen by other race as 1/3 of humans.
It means that you dehumanize them. That's why you could enslave them.
Is that what is affecting our development and evolution as a continent?
I can genuinely tell you that very few Europeans think that we are the same human beings. Yeah. And they know. Because of the conditioning, because of what they have been taught about us. If they could hang human beings and slash them, lynch in America, you think that we can just kill human beings, even up to date? Go to the criminal justice system. Look at the population. Look at the population of African Americans, and look at the population of the same race in prison. Does that not tell you something? It means that these people are not people. These are not human beings. So when they offend, the treatment is different, because whatever happens to you does not matter anyway. And that's what Europeans have done. And they have never taken responsibility for that. Because they are in charge. If they wanted to change it, they will change it. Racism in football and all those things, the people who are in charge, if they wanted to, you see, the kind of aggression that they are using to promote gayism and democracy, if they use the same thing to stop racism that they created, because racism is not just about prejudice on your color and your race. Is a structure to make sure that wealth and power stays with a particular people. When you look at the billionaire list, they should be ashamed of that. That all the people who you say are the richest in the world are from a minority group of the world's population. And you think that is because you're intelligent? No, it's because of the structures that you have put in place to make sure that wealth and power stays with your kind. Now, this one are people who have been educated by them, don't understand it. So when you are trying to bring these things, they become very uncomfortable, and they will just say that, it's because you are not serious, you are not.
You often blame the politicians are supposed to be blamed anyways, but they often blame our politicians to be corrupt, and they use the money, the country's
Do you think
money.
that there is any politician in democracy who is not corrupt?
Even in America?
Yes. Europe. Do you think that they are honest? How much was their salary before they entered into politics? Right. And how much have they become? I mean, because they became a president or senator. It's just no. It's easy for you to, or it's easier for you to blame the African, because it's already been blamed anyway. It's already been.
So it's easy for people to believe that.
Yes, because the African must be corrupt, the African must be unintelligent, the African must be, So that's the normal scenario. So it's just a creation.
Hey Webnation family, I have some exciting news. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you, because our trip to South Africa this November is almost fully sold out. We are incredibly grateful to everyone who trusted us to experience South Africa with Webnation. I'm excited to announce that we are officially launching our Ghana Sankofa Homecoming experience for 2027. For the past few years, you've watched incredible stories on this channel. Stories of people who left the United States to other parts of Africa, who bought land, started businesses, reconnected with their roots, and built a brand new life in Africa. But now, it's your turn. We are launching a 14-day experience through Ghana, designed to help you experience Ghana in a more meaningful way. This isn't your typical vacation. It's an opportunity to experience the powerful and rich history of Ghana. This trip will give you the opportunity to immerse yourself in the authentic Ghanaian culture, connect with local entrepreneurs, explore real estate and other investment opportunities available here in Ghana. Whether you've been dreaming about visiting Africa, reconnecting with your heritage, or simply visiting Africa for the very first time, this trip is for you. And to make it easier to join us, all you need to do is to secure your spot with just a deposit. Then you have more than 11 months to pay the remaining balance through a very flexible installment payment plan. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen to secure your spot now, and let's welcome you to Ghana. You've watched the stories on Webnation. It's your time to live your own. Now, let's get back to the video.
Do you think that look at a typical situation is Ghana? Look at our minerals. Which organizations are in charge of these minerals? Right. I don't know, European and American organizations. If they were not corrupt, they will shut those things down. Because how can you say that the gold in your country is mined by your people and the citizens don't own anything? And you are saying that you are fair. If you are not a thief.
Usually they will say because they don't have the machinery to be able to.
Those are all lies. The control of technology and flow of money. Listen, if you are an honest person, if you see somebody's money on the ground, would you take it?
No.
Because the person is reckless. Would you take it? No. Because you're honest. You're straightforward. You have integrity. If you take somebody's money because the person is not maybe aware of it, you're not a good person. So you don't have to say anything. Mm-hmm. You are as guilty and even more, probably far more than the other one who was negligent. So it's not that our politicians are corrupt. Who trained them? Where did they go to school? Which churches do they go to? Which courses did they go to? What kind of people have you given training to that you think they have become so corrupt? Meanwhile, they went to a lot of our politicians went to the best of your schools.
Oxford University.
Yes. They are practicing what you say they should practice, democracy. How can you become a president if you're poor? The guy just finished in Lagos. He wants to become a president or an MP. And he said that they have to vote for him. He has to do campaign. Where from that structure? Right. How does he get money right after university? So automatically, the design that you have of governance itself will mean that you have to have, yes. So you can't blame him.
Because you need influence.
Yes.
And
you need money.
Influence, you need money.
You need money. And you can't really, how much can they create themselves before they can spend their own money to do any elections? So I think these things are excuses. But our people, the problem is that the people who have been educated by the Europeans and the West cannot understand this. Because I think you really don't have an education until you have deep understanding of your history, of your heritage, of your traditions, of your culture. So giving the African, European history and European sense of judgment does not mean that you have educated the African. No. And so it doesn't matter what certificate or what profession or what degrees that he has. I think if you're really educated, you stand for yourself and defend yourself.
Interesting.
And be proud of who you are. And even build structures based on what you have. And surprisingly, we do have many of our people like that. That's why I really think that Nkrumah was different. Because he was able to educate himself outside that.
How did he do that?
I think by getting in contact with the Pan-African educated people. That is it. I think that is the structure that is able to free the African. Any other education outside that, you can't have freedom. Because you will never find yourself. You will never find yourself as an African until you start to study your history. Because we've been blamed all these years. For the last 2,000, 3,000 years, we've been under blame game from them. We've been tagged as people who are not serious all these years. And yet in between, you can see that we have built kingdoms, we have built empires, we have built civilizations, we have built engineering projects, we have built education, we have built a lot, even religious institutions, government. So, and that's why with all my education, engineering and science and all those, I think the best form of education that I had to give myself was going back to study our history.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's not the history that the European is telling us. No. I know I'm not fascinated by that. Even though I study that, I'm more into the history that will make me get up and see myself as a full human being.
Very interesting. I kept comparing Singapore.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, they got their independence around the same time Ghana got their independence.
Yes.
And when you see these two countries, I mean, when I'm coming to the country, I'm in flight and I see the landscape of the whole of Ghana. And I'm like, it's quite interesting.
Yes.
And you compare that side by side to countries that were colonized and, got their independence even way after Ghana got independence, being able to develop to where they are. What is it? I think what you just mentioned explains it. Mentally, we are not equipped to be able to govern ourselves like Nkrumah so for us.
People do that kind of comparison, which is Singapore and Ghana. I don't do that. And the reason I don't do that is because Singapore has a different culture, a different, and the kind of problems that they meet from the West is different from the kind of problems that we meet. Why didn't they allow Nkrumah to just be in power, even if he had his own problems? He was taken out. I mean, documents now show that American intelligence was part of it, heavily.
They said CIA was.
That's right. So why were they? So if we were experimenting, why did you cut it off or cut it short? Then after that, a lot of coup d'etats. Then you turn around to say after 30 years, the people have not developed. How could they develop? When you were so much involved. And it's an illusion to say that just before 1957, Ghana was dependent on the British Empire. And then 1957, we are free. Do you really believe that?
You don't believe
No,
free?
I don't believe that. I don't believe
Even
that.
to this day?
No. The first constitution, go and look at it. If Britain ever let it go entirely. They were still involved, and they are still involved. They are involved in our financial structure. They are involved in our education. They are involved in our religion. They are involved in our media. They are involved. They are interested in almost everything. A lot of the decisions that people make, the government. Do you think they're really coming from them?
So it's not our
appointed leaders. A lot of the decisions that they make, IMF is involved, World Bank is involved, UN is involved. All these embassies that are here, you think that they are here because of visa?
What are they here for?
It's business is the same continuation. But you see, the average African has been educated by them. And so these kind of conversations, they will rather say, no, you are just blaming the people. But be charged, take charge of your destiny. They fail to understand the systemic nature of our complexities. And I'm not here to convince you to accept that. Because then you will take the easier part, which is your leaders are corrupt.
Right.
That's the main thing. But it's not like that. Singapore had a lot of time for leadership to be in place for them to structure. The kind of mindset that we have to build a nation. I don't think that the colonial institutions, what they put in place, the psychology that they put in place, even from the way they train us, I don't think that we corrected that. Even Dr. Nkrumah himself could not correct that. Why are you speaking English here? The fact that yourself and myself are speaking English here would show that you're still not in charge anyway. You could have, or you should have picked your main language, which is the Akan, to educate yourself. Put them in your schools. You should have picked your own government structure, because what they came to do was an interjection. But now the interjection has become the norm. The language, the government structure, the finance structure, and yet these structures that you are just trying to use them, they are pseudo. You're not really part of it. Do you think that Africa is part of the global financial structure? How many Ghanaians use credit card, mortgage system? Yeah? So the fact that we are trying to even speak English shows that that's why we still have a lot of our people, the information that they have is sieved, because in Ghana, many of our people will speak Chi. And understanding Chi, or the other languages, whether it's Ewe or Dagbani or Ga, than the English. When you speak English to Ghanaian, it does not mean you're really speaking to them to go and get results. You're just talking to them like talking to your clerk. You are giving them instruction to go and do what you want. But for them to sit down and create through their mind, I think that one will be done in the language that they so much understand. Because the language is the key to the culture. There's a lot of wisdom that I cannot carry in English.
That's so true. And why is it?
Yes, because every culture has language that explains the depth over all these years. You cannot bottle Ghana's culture in English, especially if you are talking of creativity, innovation, productivity, prosperity, wealth creation. That cannot be carried in English. English is just for you to become a servant and work for somebody.
Interesting.
That is true.
But then if you are looking for a job in Ghana here, and your English, you don't speak English.
So the English is designed for job.
Interesting.
It's not designed for business creation. That's why the people who are speaking English, they don't create jobs. They follow, they write CVs. They tell you they had A from the university, and they wait forever for somebody to hold their hand and give them job. Interesting. The ones who are not speaking the English, they understand the culture, so they know where the money is. That's why they're able to think. So people say that the people are not critical in thinking. That is only when you bring it in English. You put them in the language that they are, you can see that they're very intelligent. Go to your village. That boy that is 5 years, you speak to English to him, he doesn't understand it. Go to his language. Besides that question, say, "Oh, mama, way." Obe catch mama, sorry, ano papa no kwa fom. And then kwa na mete wa medidi, matoto board yeti. A question be a baby send be a Fransasha how the beshe. What is it? Baby a question. Because that's the language is comfortable at that. And so creativity of the people is in the language that they are born into.
Interesting.
So when you want them not to think, then you bring another language. That's what they did. That's why they didn't let you speak your language in terms of education. Why would they want to translate the Bible in P and everything, but science books and mathematics? Why? That should question you. Because these people came with a design of slavery, design of bondage, design of colonization. And the way to control people, first of all, is through their minds. So anything that will sedate your mind, put the people into sleep, they will do it. And that's what they have done. And our people don't understand this.
how do one begin to kind of save themselves from this individually? Because I mean, I don't think the government, I want to say government, but the people in power are doing anything about
do we have a government? Government is the one who is organizing society and making sure the interests of his people are put first. It's not the one taking orders from people. No, what we have is different. They think that but that's different. I mean, from where I sit, no, we don't have a lot of power as such. If you try to even exercise power, some people will be angry. But where do we start it? Education starts with history. And I said it, history of yourself, history of your people. Go and study the Ghana Empire. Go and study 1,000 years before maybe the Greek civilization. Study that. Where are the Africans? What were they doing? If you start to question those things, nothing will impress you again. European innovation will not impress you. Chinese innovation will not so much. Because you will see that it's not so different. We are where we are because of the distortions of those. Because once you've been told that you never did anything, then you will never do anything anyway. Then you wait for somebody to hold your hand. So it's the history. So it doesn't matter the degrees that you have. You can have PhD. PhD is somebody's design, somebody's knowledge that is pushed on you many times. Your first degree that you're so much proud of, and they designed the content for you. They wanted you to think in a particular way. The best tools for education is you're able to go and research, take, and pick the lessons that you need. That's proper education. Then you can have independence in thinking. All right, and I think that it starts with history, because until you express who you think you are. If you think you're incapable, you will never be capable. If you think somebody must give you a job, then you wait for a job forever. If you think you're poor, you'll be poor forever. If you think there's nothing in Ghana, that's it. So I think the prominent, the most important thing among them, because that's why technically they design your education structure, said that they never taught you any proper history. That's why they're always telling you Ghana independence, 1957, Gorgeous Beg, and those are not. You don't need that.
That's not proper history.
No, that's not proper history. Why were they teaching Romeo and Juliet and Macbeth? Where is your ancestors? Where are they? Where are your ancestors? Where's the Ghana Empire, for instance? Where is our Asante Empire? Where is their innovation, their technology? I will go to study that. Where's the Moshi Empire? Dahomey. Those are the things that you study. Before the pharaohs were the Africans. The pharaohs are Africans, but before that big civilization, we were still living. What were you doing? In West Africa, in East Africa, in South Africa. Where were we? These are questions that you have to ask. And the moment you start, because listen, the Chinese that you see, they don't just talk of today Chinese. They tell you that we've been around since the last 5,000 years. There's something about it. It's nutrient. It's protein. When you start to connect yourself to your greatness in history, then because there's really nothing new. The fruit that you see is coming from the root of the tree. So if you don't see any fruit, it means that there's no root proper. So you can't get the nutrient. And yet people think that just AI education and technology and engineering, no, they have to be founded on what? They have to be founded on who you are, and that's your history. And that's why all great minds, anybody who's been able to build anything significant, they're very tough on the identity, or they are very prominent or very much focused on the identity, because that's where the mind is really centered. That's why it's very easy for you to convince an average African who does not know who he is to go through the desert to get to Italy. And they say it's economic voyage. It's not just about money. It's about self-value. They think that it's better to die on the desert
than to live in their own country.
That's it. Because they don't have any self-value. And you don't have self-value because you don't know who you are.
Interesting. Have Africans ever been great?
Everything. Look at the kingdoms. It's just a distortion. And we are still very great people. There's no civilization that is greater than the civilizations that you see. And civilization is not just the monument. It's the humanity, the heart of the people, the relationship. I lived somewhere before. The next door neighbor who will not even greet you. Do you call that civilization? Will not even greet you. Will not even talk to you. They will not even smile to you. You think that is civilization? A developed people? I don't think so. So it's wrong distortion of just monuments. It's also the humanity, the way the people behave.
So we shouldn't judge by the monuments and then the
not alone
infrastructure
alone. The warmth of the people, the peace, That's also civilization, because that is also weaving. That is also something that is nurtured.
Right.
And many times you can't take that from us. Why is it that almost everybody comes to Ghana and they say there's something about Ghana that they cannot? That is civilization. They just don't link that to intelligence. Because they think that intelligence is just the 3 or 7 story or the technology or the software. But that is intelligence which has been built over thousands of years. That's why the culture is like that. The only thing is that we have had foreign elements in it trying to distort it. And it's our duty to make sure that we really build it so that it can generate to the next level. But really, there's a lot of intelligence in our society as African people. And I call that those civilizations as well. The reason we are not innovating is because our engineering, technology, education, the foundation is not built on who we are. And beyond that, the financing and even the sharing. Why do you think that you struggle so much with your Ghanaian passport to travel? It's a way to control the development and the wealth creation of a generation. Right. Because if you're able to move freely, you learn something, isn't it?
Right.
If finance is able to move freely, if market is able to move freely, people will develop.
Right.
Why is it that the Africans, even look at the payment systems on the internet, why is it that the Africans are
part of it?
That's it.
So
these are all structures to make sure that you never develop. And the reason you must not develop is because your worth.
They will blame it because most people use it for fraud activities.
Those are all lies. Those are all lies. Because are you saying that you can't build a better system to control the fraud? Are you saying that there is no fraud in America, no fraud in England, in Germany, in Japan, in China? What are you saying?
Right.
So those are excuses. The reason you must be where you are is because when you get up, others will collapse. Study the economic structures. Europe will never be Europe without what they had to do to Africa. America will never be America without what they did to us. And they know that if these people get up, you'll be over.
Interesting.
But you see, it's bound to happen because nothing happens forever. There's a time it began, and it will always come to an end.
I like that. Do you have a belief system 20 years ago that you no longer believe in again?
That I was educated from my university. That with those degrees, I could face life with it. Those are lies. Really? Not on my own terms. Not to create my own financial freedom, not to build my own empire, my own businesses, not to be proud as an African, not to live in Ghana and never worry that if I don't travel anywhere, I will not be able to create my destiny and build my own family. Wow. And so I had to give myself different kind of education. All right, and we've been trying to do that in Ghana over the last 20 years, and it's been fantastic. And that's why they say that personal education is really an education that you have to build your life and to have freedom. Very few people in the world have freedom, especially financial freedom, because they are using the wholesale knowledge, and the wholesale knowledge is what they taught you in school. And go and get a job, get credit card. In some countries, you want a house and 30 years to buy that house? No. A car, then somebody has to finance you. If you are in that, if you cannot buy it with your money, technically you have to slave or to enslave yourself to pay that. Whether you are sick or not, you must go. So that's a control mechanism.
But then the position as if you are advantaged to have a credit system.
It's for those who are ignorant financially, especially consumer debt. Freedom is where you don't have to depend on another person to feed yourself and your family. If you have to use debt to even buy food, credit to even buy food, and you don't have nothing saved,
you are poor.
Nothing invested, you're a slave.
You're a slave.
Yes. That's why even when you're sick, you have to get up
Which
and
is
go.
worse than being poor.
Yeah. So is it the people who created that system of slavery never change? They just change the method. They never change. So you still work for the corporation, you still work for the government, you still work for all those, all your life. And they give you peanut, small, little, nothing. And you say that you're a doctor, but you cannot go without salary for 3 months.
People in the diaspora, right?
Yes.
Are into this system that you just talked about. What are some of the things they can begin to do now from today to take themselves out of that system?
Just understand that the education that you have was never built for you to to become free and build wealth. And to build wealth means that you must have ownership. And it means that you must own things that make money for you.
Right.
Not you getting up early in the morning and going to, for salary. Salary is just a creation that some people. Somebody said that you can only receive money monthly, weekly, because you trade your hours and your intelligence for me. That's never a system that ever existed for any prominent people. They created that. And that was another form of control of people.
You should be making money.
You should never make people believe that without your salary, they will never leave. Because that's not how God created the world. He gave you intelligence. And so if you can do away without thinking that somebody must give me a job before I can leave. And you know that in those cultures, it's all about job. If you don't have a job, you don't have any salary and you don't have any lifestyle. And if you're rich, why are you buying your house on those terms? Why you can't take rest? Why? And so I believe in structuring your things so that you are owner of your own destiny. And many times it means that starting a business or something to make sure that you don't depend. Because if they're threatening you, that they're sacking you from the job and you're scared, you're not free. It doesn't matter your certificate. But this is tough for the average person because they really don't have a lot of, they don't have proper financial education. And that's the beauty. They hit those things from you so that they can enslave you.
By design.
I'm using that word because that is really what is happening. Now they use debt to enslave people. Debt. You look at your account and you own nothing. And you have worked for 30 years. And you're scared of your retirement. Particularly those from Ghana and Nigeria who have gone to live somewhere. You went there for money. 30 years, you are even scared of your retirement. Why?
That's interesting.
You shouldn't. But you could not build that life because you were not informed financially. And every environment, every country, every culture has its own financial structure. And you must know that. If you don't know the financial structure that's operating there.
And you try to implement
yes, the other day a young man talked to us. He said he lives in Switzerland and when you come to Ghana, people are poor. I said, somebody train you. He said, I asked him, how long have you been living outside? He said, 20 years. I said, you're European. Right. You're not an African. You just speak Twi, but you're not an African. Your mind, you think that ours is nothing.
Interesting.
Do you know people who also have a lot of wealth here? I said, he said he came Ghana, people are just selling something. I said, did you ask those guys who sell on the street how much they have? A lot of them have no credit card debt, no mortgage, no car loan. And yet they're able to take care of their family and some of their children are in the university.
Right.
And you think that they have nothing. It's the orientation, it's the information that you have. And if those people have proper financial education, they can build from there to wherever that they are.
Very interesting.
You want to go.
Do you have an advice that you used to give people in the past that you no longer believe in?
Advice? Hardly. I hardly advise people anyway. I have conversation with people. I think people will always settle at the point of their comfort. And that's why I think that the right change will come from you trying to change who you are from within. And so we throw out tools so that you can use those tools to re-engineer your inner being. Then the change will come from there. Right. I can talk to you forever. If you don't accept that, it will be very difficult for you to change. Particularly people that I will never try to advise are people who have been educated, especially who have they love American visa and American passport. They want to travel. Religious people, people who are addicted to politics. I try not to talk to any of those people to change. It's a waste of time. They are convinced in that. So there is a freedom of choice. I think I'm more attracted to people who are ambitious, who want to do something for themselves without giving excuses. People who are very much positive and proud as Africans. People who are happy to live in Ghana and talk well of us and see the wisdom in our people. Those are the people that I resonate with many times. I don't really resonate with people who think they are better than me because they live in another culture and they are more exposed and wiser. No. I try to see myself as somebody that I love my people. So maybe if I should give an advice to anybody, I'll give an advice to the Aboboya young man, the guy who is selling Yokogari on the street, trying to find himself to say that, listen, if you can organize your thoughts and get some little skills financially and believe that you are a blessed person, the life that you'll be able to organize here in the next 10 years, you'll be amazed.
That's very powerful.
Yes, and those are the people that we talk to. And many times you don't do that in English.
In Twi.
In Twi.
The language they understand.
Yes, so that they can use them to change their life.
I like that. Do you have anything you believe in that 95% of successful Ghanaians would disagree with you?
That they are wealthy because of God.
Mm.
I don't think it's that. You are
Really?
wealthy because of the structures that you put in place, the habits that you built.
But when they go on podcast, they say it's
because they want to, I don't know. Because the pastors have told them that you are nothing without God.
Mm.
But I don't think God will ever tell anybody that you are nothing without me anyway. Because he put his soul in you, he put his spirit in you. I will not say that my son, because he reflects me. Mm-hmm. So I really don't want my son to always be talking about father. No. You grow to be a man on yourself. And so you be proud. That's why he gave you all this earth. Take charge. And if you have been able to use your intelligence to build something, now you don't want to be proud of it. It's deception, and sometimes it's hypocrisy as well. Because that's not the truth anyway. Mm-hmm. The truth is that you put some things in place. And sometimes even some prominent global people always say, I was just lucky. Mm-hmm. So what happened to the rest of us? So were we not lucky?
Because they don't want to show how they've got their money.
It's the hypocrisy. Some people have core belief that not everybody will be rich, and that hides your tools from everybody, hide your secrets. Those things.
Can I tell you something? Mm-hmm. In Ghana, I've noticed in public, when I begin to speak business conversation, people just change the topic immediately.
Because maybe they don't want to be targeted. They don't want to be targeted, if you want, or they think that they are the ones who must be worthy. Some people, yes, and some people also think that it's in a class system. Some people must be rich, some people must be poor. I don't hold that. I think every one of us has what it takes to build our life to the level to at least overcome poverty. So, and that's why we teach what we teach. Some people say that you cannot teach people wealth and finance. I say, whatever people do is based on the skills that they have, the discipline, the habits. And those are coming from the things that they have been taught. Which means if I can teach you how to podcast, if I can teach you how to refurbish an engine, you can be taught how to organize your finances and your life. But sometimes the people did it because they didn't have construction. They just happened to be trying something and it worked, but they cannot explain it because they don't have structure for it. You should be able to structure anything that you do so that you can teach others. Right. And some people have refused to do that. And that's why when they lose that, they are not able to rebuild. They are not able to rebuild it. Why? Because they didn't really process them well. I know. So sometimes maybe if they because they think that they just happen to be somewhere and they were lucky, and that's. I don't think so. I think 99% of the time is because there were some things that you followed. And if you pay attention, that's right.
Even if it's unaware, it's a structure.
That's it. And if you put them in place, if you really study them, if they take everything from you, you are likely to do something better again.
Interesting. You mentioned discipline. Do you think discipline is more important than intelligence?
I think discipline is a function of intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah, you cannot be foolish and be disciplined. Because they say, come here 6 o'clock. If you're not intelligent, you forget. You cannot calculate the hours that you have to take in the traffic for you to be here on time.
The example you just gave, that means majority of Ghanaians are not intelligent.
Okay. It means that they have they don't have the data to organize themselves. So,
well, let me put it this way. When you tell a Ghanaian, let's be somewhere at 6, that's when they wake up and start showering.
Because they are hoping. We have something we call structured thinking. You must be structured in your thinking. You must be able to project that maybe Trotro will stop 3 times. And so when they are giving you time, add 2 hours to it. So that if they want to judge you with time, then at least you can make it. Because the other person is saying that he follows time. He forgets that there's a whole support structure. That's why he's able to follow time. The train will be there on time. So he can move from his house without wasting time. You can be here and the transport system is different. Maybe the water system is even different. The lighting will be different, isn't it? And so when somebody has a lot of this harmony in their structure and they want to judge you with time, what they should also do is that they should give you an allowance based on the inconsistencies in the culture and in the system that you live in.
Infrastructure.
Yes. So I think that maybe they overlook the inhibitions or the hindrances in our system. So they may not be able to meet your time. So when they are late, you coming from another culture will say that, oh, they don't follow their time. I don't say that. I would say that it's because, a lot of things are not so much reliable. And they don't want to hurt your feeling. And they don't want to disappoint you. So they try to really hold themselves to make room for you.
Right.
And that's the humanity of our people. Some people who don't care anything will just give you an answer. No, I'm not coming.
Right.
And they think that is more intelligent. No. I don't think that is more intelligent. There's always something that you can do to make sure somebody can also benefit. And I think that is what our people try to do. But they are judged wrongly.
Because of their humanity.
That's it. They are just trying to say, okay, what can I do? Maybe something will change and I can accommodate you.
And that would delay you a bit, but still make it up.
And that's typical with women. And so the foolish man would think that women are not wise. They are just thinking, what can I do to make you comfortable? It does not mean that. And I think that takes more intelligence than the other one, who is just rigid. Because he makes decision based on his selfish interests alone. And he thinks that is proper. I know that.
But that's what we've been educated on or indoctrinated.
And that is wrong. That's purely selfishness. It has to go your way or no. So when they ask you something and you are thinking about it, just tell me yes or no. There's a time a young girl called me from an office. He said that, are you saying yes or no? I said, don't push me. And if I'm not giving you yes or no, it does not mean I'm not intelligent. I'm just trying to process to see where I can fit you. I mean, when you called me, I had a lot to do.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to look at where can I put you. So even if I fail 30 minutes, it's because of you. It's not because I don't know and I don't have discipline. I can't say no. Just say. Especially when I'm not cheating you. I'm doing something that will favor you, not my interests. So I'm thinking, I'm combining a lot of things together, and somebody who does not care about anybody's feeling would then say that because you can say no. Maybe they are right, but absolutely they are not right, because humans are humans, and nothing really is constant.
Very, very interesting. Do you think everybody can be wealthy?
Absolutely. Once God gave everybody talent, you can develop the talent to skill, and it can be. Because wealth is a process, wealth is information, wealth is a structure. Of course, the whole domain plays part, but from your personal level, from your family level, from the things that come together, I think every one of us can develop whatever God gave us. Because wealth creation really comes from the problems that you're able to develop skill sets to solve and get paid for. And if you are being paid for something and you know how to manage that process or that wealth or that money that comes to you, then you can build something significant out of it. And all of us can do something. Build something that we could never dream of. It's the information that people don't have. And that's why you can say besi, unim besi. So unim ti to sika kwa beton besi be ko se would be people don't understand that. But if you go, I know people who are training all this little dear who Kumasi Sane can dear who I say a friend tease it. Dear who or 3, 4, 5 joints. Locations. They own apartments, not debt, not bank money.
I was looking around. One Muton Kubeno, the coconut sellers.
Yes.
And I was calculating how many coconut they sell.
Yeah.
They make about 500 cedis a day.
That's right.
And that's about $40.
Yes.
And if you have 10 locations, that's a lot of money.
That's right.
But you will never respect it.
Yes, and I don't even usually convert the into dollars. Because you can.
I mean, for my audience.
Yes, I agree. Because sometimes when you convert it, they think it's nothing.
Right.
But look at the buying power of that money
in Ghana.
in that economy. Do you get that?
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's another disadvantage. They try to resize your value in their currency to make sure that if they pay you $1,000, it's nothing.
I was having this conversation with someone.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, if I've made $1 million cedis, am I a millionaire or not? It's like, no, when you convert it, it's this amount in dollars.
That's another dishonesty, another slavery, another white supremacy syndrome. Then why are you not converting to pound? Because pound is of a higher value.
Right.
And I'm sure there's another currency that is of higher value than the pound.
Is more higher.
That's right. So why are you not putting everything in that, but you say it's in dollar? So the day the dollar will change or stop to be global currency, what will happen?
Will you use?
So that's the same thing. I think that your value is based on the environment, the value that you have, the money that you have. What can you do in that environment?
Interesting.
If it's able to do something significant, you're wealthy in that environment.
So if most Ghanaians are beginning to calculate their finances in that, how many people watching now would be millionaires?
Yes, a lot of them. If you're a millionaire in city, you're a millionaire.
Really?
Yes. You're a millionaire in America, you're a millionaire in America.
Interesting.
Because you're paid in that economy, not here. You are paid $2,000 in America. What does it do in America? If you're paid
Nothing.
2,000 cedi here, what does it do here?
It goes far.
I think we should have that kind of thinking. That's why this GDP calculation, I don't buy those, because they continue to make somebody powerful all the time. You're saying that one little company is greater than the whole continent,
right? With
everything in it, and you buy that matrix. Sadly, it's the education that they have given you. So your value will always change. So you are here today. You have a house which is 100 a million cedis. Tomorrow, that's the same house.
Yeah.
The dollar goes to 20. Now your house is nothing. Your value is gone down. Does that explain something to you? But I'm not here to teach anybody. The only thing is that I say that be happy with what you have, because a lot of these things are modeled to make sure that you become nothing. So somebody is saying, oh, but your business must be converted to dollar. Unless I'm going to live in that country, dollar is of no value per se to me. You know, they can give you a lot of money. Go buy, fill this room. If you have no value for that, it's nothing. So sometimes it's not just the dollar. It's the value that you have for that. What can you do with that money?
Right. So if your dollars don't even go far in America and my city go way further than you,
yes,
my money is more valuable than you.
Yes, because you can do something with it.
Which happens to be the case in Ghana, where diasporans actually come here and their money go way further than it did in the US.
Yes.
Meaning our currency is more valuable than theirs.
If you convert it.
Right.
You can do more in Ghana, probably, with $100,000 than or maybe what you can do there. Economy is different, but these things, I don't know. We build businesses here. We do a lot of things without access to credit and loans and things like that.
I mean,
and so when you come to size my business, and you say that my business is not $100 million because therefore I'm not rich. But look at what you are using. The mechanisms that you're using is a different economic system. So don't try to buck everything and say that you are the number one example that we have to look at. And if you don't measure to your standard, it means you are nothing. And that is what they have been doing all this while. That's why your young woman is trying to look like a white girl in order to be beautiful.
True. Wearing all sort of white.
Yes. That's why you have to speak English in order for you to be accepted. I have to wear suit and tie in order for me to look like intelligent, isn't it?
Yeah.
My chemistry must be European. Everything. Or it's nothing. I think it's so much... weighing, it weighs people and their souls down.
Yeah, I've spoken to some youth, even the university students, and the moment you say start something, they say I don't have money, I need money first, and their parents would offer them maybe 1,000 cedi to start selling something on the roadside. They feel ashamed to do that.
Yes,
and they would rather wait and write letters to companies to get funds before they start something. Because why do you think that is? And it's huge population.
When they went to university, the business that they were teaching them, business education there is still not Ghanaian. It's based on different structure, where they are telling you that you have to write a business plan and get funding. You need capital to start a business from that economy. Because in that economy, if everybody is starting a business, all those conglomerates will collapse. So they have to make sure that you are conditioned to work for the industry. We don't have that kind of challenge here because we don't have a lot of industries here. And so a way of understanding of business and how it starts might not be the same as what they are teaching. But sadly, what they are teaching our investors is the same as what they are teaching somewhere, so to say. So the education is not based on our reality. And that's why when you pick 100 people in Ghana, under 30, and all of them have started business, I can tell you that less than 10% hold degree. Because those who don't have degrees are not waiting for capital to start anything. They hustle. They want to go somewhere. Because really, our community, our culture is very communal. That people can easily give you product to go and sell and bring them. And that's how it works here.
So you don't even need money.
No, it's not structure. It's not that kind of structure where even your mother, you live in the same house, you have to pay rent. Like, how many people live with their parents in Ghana that they pay rent?
Yeah, but that's common.
I went somewhere, they were saying they were throwing party, and everybody had to bring their own drink. Yeah. This is not party. I know your party. There is one song. What they are saying. So it's a different culture. So I think that the youth are not living in their reality. They're not living in this culture.
Do you think social media is a cause of that in this modern day?
I think it's the education.
Really?
The more educated you get, the more European you become. Yeah. You're change. That's why the mother is selling tomato. Once he goes to university, he doesn't want to associate with that again.
Yeah, it becomes.
He'll be very happy to go
Yeah.
and work in what they call corporate world to get 1,000 cedis. That makes 1,000 cedis a day.
Because of how he looks wearing the tie.
That's right, suit and tie. And weave on and mochas for
that's
the
a type
young
of
man.
colonization, don't you?
Absolutely. Because then you don't live in your reality. And so you're very comfortable. I have friends who are very happy to take 5,000. And they ask you are in business, are you making profit? You taking 5,000, you're asking me, I'm a profit. So I'm not wise enough to know that if I'm not profitable, I should stop. But because something has been packaged to him as this is the standard, this should be your standard, you know. And so they don't understand it. So it's the miseducation, actually. And so it's not, it will be very tough. That's why I say that if your child starts to go to school, whatever that you do for living, put them in it.
But look, we've been cocoa farmer.
Yes.
He started taking his son to the farm.
Yes.
BBC shows up. Child. How do they call it?
Child labor.
Child labor.
BBC has its own problem. We have our problem. Let's deal with ours. Okay, but you see, they always try to tell you that they are standard. That's why they are trying to say that gays should be in our schools.
Yeah.
Do you think it's our problem?
No.
It's not a problem for us. But why are they trying to say that we should have it? Are people killing anybody? Is there anybody being killed because he's practicing homosexuality? So why should it be an issue? We have prominent issues that we must pay attention to. But he thinks that his problems must be yours. But your problems should not be his. It's the same cockiness.
It's quite narcissistic.
That's right. So that's why I refuse to think like that. I refuse. And so if you're a cocoa farmer, take your son to farm. Let them know your trade. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not child labor. This is what you do. If I'm a doctor and I'm going to the hospital and take my child along, is that labor?
No.
I'm just training them, educating them. It's easier that way because the mind is programmed. From day one, it gets to 20 years, the mind is gone.
You can't program it again.
So if you leave your child to get to 20 without involving them, it will be very difficult for them to take over from you. Because now they are different people. That's why you send your child from here 5 years to boarding house. You don't have a child again. You send them to another country, you don't have them again. They are different. You see? So yes, so you involve them. Then you can predict what they will become, at least in listening to you. But you let another person train your child and then you expect them to behave and take your commands, that will be difficult.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What is the biggest mindset difference between poor people and wealthy people?
Looking for help.
Looking for help.
The poor are always waiting for somebody to hold their hand. Looking for help. Begging. The rich people believe that they have confidence enough or they are confident enough to create their own destiny. And it does not matter what comes. And they're very comfortable in who they are. That they're able to hold themselves to build wealth now without trying to impress you. So I can wear my same shoe and I don't care. I can take trotro. I probably have millions in the bank and it doesn't really matter because they can think on their own. It's not the party that you throw that shows that you're rich. It's not the watch that you wear, especially when you are at this building stage. And that's the difference between those who are able to build and those who are not able to build.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. There's something that I've paid attention to. Ghanaians find nobility in poverty.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Lack of financial education.
Like, I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. Even if I'm rich,
Yeah.
I have to be sober.
Yeah.
I think it's because we think that we are just rich because God gave it to us, or luck.
So it's the same.
That's it.
God
Yes,
factor.
yes, it's the God factor. So, and you are holding. You know, we have a lot of music in that. So we hardly attribute anything to our effort. I think sometimes you must blow your own horns. You must let people know that you put in some work. That's why you are where you are. It is not just because you are fortunate or lucky. That's why the average young man may not have respect for your worth because he thinks that you just happen to be lucky. So you don't have intelligence. You're just like you. No.
And they will never ask you the question on how you build
That's
your
right.
wealth.
They are just attributing that to something different. You know, and sometimes too is some of the things that happen in our history, where they try to, take people's businesses from them, try to kill some of the rich people in our society,
So
especially the military people. I think that probably contributed to that as well.
Interesting.
But a lot of it is because people just want to hide some things. Because sometimes too, they don't want you to know that they are. But I think if you have something, there's nothing wrong. If you've been able to build it, to share, to let people know that, listen, these are the steps that I took to have this success.
Do you think if we do more of that, it would help Ghanaian youth more to become more successful?
Exposure is key. If you're exposed to something, you're likely to think differently. And so if you're able to share with us how you build these things, it will help. It will help. Because what we know is because we learned from some people. We were not born with them. We took time to study, to listen, to read, to watch those who built, those who inspired us. And so if you are hiding your story, if you're hiding your wisdom, if you're hiding your knowledge, your understanding, you are not changing the system. You are not improving the system. You must share it, or you die with it. And what's the point in dying with your wisdom? Because the greatest success is the lives that you change. It's not the house that you left.
It's a legacy.
Yes, it's the people that change. People who continue to live because you live. Your houses are not life. But this young woman, if you teach her, she will teach her children. Her children will teach her children.
That's more
that lives forever. So it's the people that you change. And I think you cannot hide your wisdom. You must let people know the things that you did.
Let me ask you this. What is the most expensive mistake you've ever made?
Mistake. I said it before. We did a project and we took money from a woman who converted it to $1. And the dollar changed and she was slapping a lot of interest on it. It cost us a lot. That was damaging. Because we were so ambitious, so sure that after the work we were going to be paid, and it never happened like that. And it cost a lot. And that came from foolishness, isn't it? Yes. The early part of our businesses. Not all our businesses, but the ones that, yeah.
Interesting. We're almost at the end of the conversation. I have this question for you. If this was your last interview of your life, what message will you give to Ghanaians?
Create your own destiny. Build your own knowledge base. Constantly read, search. And never be afraid to build wealth, build businesses, build companies. This infatuation with salary and jobs does not cut it here. Politics is not the way to wealth creation. It's a way of service. Starting a church is not the way to become rich. It's a way of service. They are designed to serve the people, not to enslave the people. But providing goods and services, productivity is what I can say wealth is built with, or wealth is built on. So don't just create facade with wealth. Let's see the productivity. When we say you are rich, where's the productivity? Where's the business? Where's the company? What value are you creating? Do those. And in the moment you are committed to that, don't be afraid of your future. You'll be okay. And if there is anything, build in Ghana, build in Africa. That's where you'll be respected and accepted and valued. Any other place, it will take some time before. It is taking African Americans how many years to be accepted? They're still not.
I like that. If you do have any final message.
I'll say that the diaspora, never think that you're better than those of us here. And you're no more exposed than those of us here. It's different system, different approach, different way of doing things. And you are not richer. And the African is not poorer. The African is not unexposed. No. Look at the beauty from both sides. And let there be equity and equality.
I like that.
That we can work with. All right.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
This is a very powerful episode. So the last time you spoke, you had 9 books.
Yep.
And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more.
Yes.
So each book, I want you to say something.
Now we have 16 books.
16 books.
So I'm happy to give you 5, including the 9. So that will be 14. So there's the other 2 that you don't have. There's Reset, how to teach yourself build yourself through African history. I wish I brought that to you. Now, this one is money law, principles of financial success. Financial success principles. I think that the world runs on principles, and whatever results that you're getting, they're coming from the principles that you know and you apply. So if it's poverty, there are laws that you apply. That's why you're poor. And if you're doing well, it's because there are laws.
Poverty is also a structure.
That's right, it's a structure that you're following. And if you change that, you'll be fine.
Interesting.
This is sales systems. I mean, everybody is into selling something. What are you selling? So if you're poor, what are you selling? If you're rich, what are you selling? If there's value for what you're selling, and you know how to conserve money and multiply it, to be fine. Growth. If you're not growing, then there's something else that is wrong. And the first place to start to grow is here.
In the mind.
Yeah. And then the skills that you have to develop to grow. Financial systems, I talk about it. We have a different financial structure here. If you don't know it, and you try it. I've met a lot of people who said that I read some books and they said that you have to work with other people's money. So they will go to bank and borrow 30%, 40%. In 2 years, their business is gone. They are in trouble. They are chasing them and they can't sleep.
You end up working for the bank.
Because they are reading books that are saying that work with other people's money. But what they refuse to say will be, maybe here it's 3% a year. But in Ghana, it's more than that.
25.
That's right. Before, sometimes it was even half of 100. So it means that apply common sense to the system or the financial system that you are working in.
I like that.
Yeah. And cash flow. The best way to build finances in our country is doing businesses that you see money every day. Yes. And if more money comes to your pocket than they go out, and you know how to control money, you'll be rich. So it means that every day there should be momo also account on every day. They said the whole day now will be answering the That's what it means. So money should be flowing. The money, you see, the blood flows in the human system. If it stops, you're gone, isn't it?
Yes.
A lot of people are struggling because the flow, money, they say sika emoja, and that's the flow of it. So if more flows in than they flow out, you'll be rich.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And I hope this video impacts somebody's life. And if it's your first time here, please don't forget to like the video, and subscribe, and share to friends and family as well. And you have your own YouTube page. So I'm going to put the name on the screen. Go check him out. You have an event coming up too, right?
Yes. You know, we do seminars.
Yeah.
We have done a lot of them in Accra, in Kumasi. Now we are going to Sunyani on 15th.
Okay.
Which is today's week.
Okay.
And
right.
Financial Freedom Seminar.
I like that. So make sure you check it out. And without further ado, all right, peace.